Alright guys, welcome back to Diablo. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. The game has been quite stale due to the season coming out this Thursday, so there's going to be uploads daily once again. Anyway, this brand new patch notes are huge. I'm just going to scroll through it to give you guys an idea and how big this thing is. So let's go over the most important parts and slowly scroll through the less important stuff. So, new unique items and legendary aspects. New unique items and legendary aspects have been discovered in Sanctuary. Use them to enhance your characters to enter Eternal or Seasonal Realm. These unique items can be obtained from World Tier 5, and the legendary aspects can be obtained from any World Tier. The 6 unique items. Okay. In general, the Ahuravian Spear and Lysander Uber Unique Staff World Tier 4 gain a random shrine effect for 10 to 20 seconds after killing an elite enemy. Can only occur once every 30 seconds. Okay, so obviously the spear and the new unique staff are very rare, of course. As we know, only a few have dropped in the previous vanilla Diablo game. Anyway, so they're going to be very rare. So don't expect to be getting them anytime soon. Okay, Barbarian, Druid, Necromancer, Rogue, and Sorcerer changes. For the Barbarian, the Azeroth Unique Sword, Lucky Hit. Your core skills have up to 20% chance to freeze enemy for 3 seconds and deal 0.75 or 1.5 cold damage to them. The Druid, Flesh Render, Unique One-Hand Mace. Debilitating Roar and Blood Howl deal 0.5 to 1 damage to nearby poisoned enemies. The Necromancer, Lidless Wall, the Unique Shield, Lucky Hit. While you have an active Bone Storm, hitting an enemy outside of a Bone Storm has up to 5 to 25% chance to spawn an additional Bone Storm to the location. Each of the active sacrifice bonuses increase the chance by 25% and the total number of additional Bone Storms you can have by +1. The Rogue, the Eagle Horn Unique Bow. Penetrating Shot has 30 to 80% chance to fire an arrow that bounces off walls and scenery. Hitting enemies from behind with penetrating shot will make them vulnerable for 3 seconds. And the Sorcerer, the Oculus, a unique wand. Gain the effect of the teleport enhancement for free. When you evade using teleport enhancement, you are taken to a random location, which is actually pretty cool. So developer notes, the Azurath and the Flesh Render unique items have flat damage effects which scale with power. For example, at 820 item power, Azurath deals between 3,000 to 7,000 damage. Okay. 7 new legendary aspects. Okay, let's just go through those. Audacity, utility aspect. When there are at least 5 close enemies, stun them for 2 to 4 seconds. This can only occur up to every 20 seconds. The Craven, mobility aspect. You gain 20 to 40% increased movement when you're moving away from slowed or chilled enemies. For the Barbarian, Essential Charge, offensive aspect. Charge calls forth 4 ancients who also charge, dealing 50 to 100% of normal damage, which is pretty cool. For the Druid, the Subterranean offensive aspect. Poison creepers active also cast Landslide and a circle around you. Earth skills deal 10 to 20% increased damage to poisoned enemies. The Necromancer, Gore Quills, offensive aspect. Blood Lance will consume blood orbs to also conjure lances from them. Each additional Blood Lance deals 20 to 50% of normal damage and prioritizes targeting unlanced enemies. For the Rogue, we have the Pestilent Points, offensive aspect. Every 3rd cast of Puncture to Poison imbued with 100 to 150 of normal potency. For the Sorcerer, the Searing Wards. After spending 200 or 100 mana, your next Firewall is free to cast and will destroy incoming small missiles. Okay, for the bug fixes, now I'm just going to scroll through this very slowly, and you guys can just check out and read it at your own time. I will link this down in the description, but this isn't really that important, bug fixes. I mean, again, I'll just scroll through them just like this and we can just check those out. Alright, so the load on screen updates, we don't really care about that. If you want to read it, there we go. So we have some new gameplay updates in general. Alright, the Altar of Lilith unlocks are now account wide. Map discovery is now account wide. Whispers will no longer reward sigil dust. Overall loot quality has been significantly improved for silent chests. The channel time for the leave dungeon ability has been increased from 3 to 5 seconds. We have generally reduced the tendency for many monsters to move around in combat, so that melee characters don't have to chase down their enemies as much, which is pretty cool for you guys that are melee characters like the Druid or the Barbarian. Added PS5 DualSense Edge wireless controller support for PC. World tiers. World tier 2 had the following bonuses added. Gold increased from 15 to 20%. Monsters now drop 15% more items. Developer note. Where we like where World 2 has landed overall, but there are increasing to rewards pace to better align with its difficulty. Level scaling. Okay. Scaling inside dungeons and most overworld territories has been adjusted in World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. Monsters will begin to trail behind the player in level after a certain point, up to a maximum of 5 levels behind. The change does not affect world bosses, legion events, fields of hatred, helltides, or nightmare dungeons. Developer note. We want to give players a better sense of their power progression and mastery over the world while still challenging themselves with structured endgame activities. World Tier 3 examples. If the player's level is below 55, the monster's level is 55. If the player's level is 56 to 60, the monster's level is 55. If the player's level is 61, the monster's level is 56. If the player's level is 62, the monster's level is 57, etc. From this point, monsters will always be -5 until the World Tier 3's maxes monsters level of 70, which is pretty fine. World Tier 4 example, if the player's level is 75, the level is 75. 76 to 80, it's still 75. 81 is 76. 82 is 77. Okay. Experience. Reward experience for completing Whispers in World Tier 3 and 4 has been significantly increased, which is definitely a great thing. Developer note. We have observed that the experience bonuses rewarded for killing higher level monsters escalates too fast when compared to the relative challenges involved. We still want to reward players for taking on this challenge by encouraging them to participate in power leveling together instead of one player killing the enemies while another member of their party waits at the dungeon's entrance. I actually did this for my friends as well. This is how we managed to rank up each other's characters, which definitely worked very, very well. We are adjusting bonus experience rewards for killing monsters that are higher level than the player. Pre-season of the Malignant bonuses, level 1 higher is 15%, 2 levels higher is 20, 3 levels higher is 25. Now, after the new season, 1.5% bonus per level up to 10 levels. For example, plus level 1 is 1.5, plus level 2 is 3%, and plus 10 levels is 15%. We are also adjusting experience rewards for monsters level offsets for higher world tiers. Current world tier level offsets. World tier 2 up to 3%, world tier 3 up to 10%, and world tier 4 up to 100%. We are changing it to this. World tier 2 up to 3%, 3 to 6, and 4 to plus 10. Okay, slight issue there. Anyway, for example, if you are level 1, your friends bring you to world tier 4 and leave you at the entrance of a dungeon, they start killing level 100 monsters. Prior to the season, you get level 100 monsters XP, 1 to 25%. After the season, you get from level monsters 1 to 15%. Alright, Helltides. Developer note, we are looking to increase the danger in Helltide risk. Reward gameplay by making the monsters a bit more challenging and the Tortured Gift of Mysteries harder to open. Helltide monsters are now 3 levels higher than the player instead of 2. The Tortured Gift of Mysteries chest has had its cost increased to 250 Aberrant Cinders from 175. Okay, that's a huge jump actually. All interactable objects in the Helltide zones have now small chance of dropping Aberrant Cinders. Okay, that's definitely something that is, I like that. Alright, balance updates, here we go. Developer note, as our community continues to battle the burn in hells, The builds emerging from new players have shocked and delighted us. We've chosen to focus Season of the Malignant balance updates on clear itemization, disparities over the redesigns of class features. The class changes are largely focused on the numeric increase to skill upgrades and legendary aspects that players haven't yet found compelling. Additionally, we are changing critical strike damage paragon glyphs to empower all damage instead of only core skills, to enable more build strategies. There are also a few class stats decreases on source which grant extreme amounts of damage, healing, or unstoppable. In general, we prefer build specific changes to be bonuses instead of decreases, but we feel these changes are necessary for the overall health of the game. Diablo 4 is a game that continually evolving through its seasons, thus the adjustments we will make involve with them. Alright, so the following balance updates apply to both seasonal and eternal realms. Alright, Barbarian. Okay, skills. Violent double swing. Actually, without me just reading this, I'll just kind of scroll through it because there is so much to read. I'll just slowly just kind of go down and you guys can read along. Alright, so there does seem to be a lot of changes here for the Barbarian, which is pretty good because I didn't really see this character being used too much, especially for myself as well. I did try making a new Barbarian, but I just didn't really find it that appealing. Anyway, for the Druid, here we go. Okay, so there seems to be a lot of buffs here and some nerfs as well. Okay, definitely a lot of buffs here actually, I can see. Okay. Okay, so it does seem that the Druid actually has a decent buff here, which is pretty good. I mean, a lot of people do not like playing, and I've seen a lot of people that do play Druid get shit on for playing Druid because of how bad the character is, but I have seen ridiculous builds on the Druid, especially in endgame. For the Necromancer, here we go. Have they buffed it or nerfed it? Okay, so there does seem to be quite a lot of buffs here for the Necromancer, and which is definitely great, and also a few nerfs here and there that I can see right now. But definitely do see quite a lot of buffs. Splintering aspects, bone shard damage bonus reduced from 50 to 100% to 30 to 60%. There are some nerfs here that I can actually see, and some decent buffs as well. So hopefully you guys that play Necro, which is most likely going to be me, it may be with the new season. Anyway, that is what we have for the Necromancer. Alright, so next up we have the Rogue. Let's see the changes that they have made to the Rogue. Now, I'm going to definitely see a lot of changes to the Rogue and the Sorcerer here, just due to on how powerful they were pre-season. So let's just go through this and see what we could find here. Now, I know you guys do play Rogue, so you're probably going to want to read this along here. So, yeah, let's just see exactly what has been changed. Victimized lucky chance increased by 30 to 35%. Okay, now I don't actually play Rogue myself, so I'm not really sure on what I'm looking at right now, but definitely you guys that do play Rogue have either really angry or really happy with this right now. Okay, and that are the changes for the Rogue. Now, of course, you guys can pause it at any time. I'll also link this down in the description so you guys can read at your own time. So that is the Rogue changes. And finally, we have the Sorcerer, which is what I play. Let's see exactly what they've done to the Sorcerer. Let's scroll down and see what's going on here. Okay. Enhanced charge bolts damage increased to 24 to 5%. There seems to be some damage increases here. Firebolt damage increased from 10 to 18%. Which is kind of funny because a lot of these are buffs. I'm not really too sure if they understand what's going on with the Sorcerer. Anyway. Alright. Okay, so we do have some reduction here as well for Devouring Blaze, which is definitely something that has been being used recently in a lot of these builds that have been coming out recently. Frozen Orb enhancement chance to be cast from. Okay, so there does seem to be some buffs here. A lot of buffs and a lot of nerfs as well. Alright, and that are the changes for the Sorcerer. Now, of course, you guys hopefully, pause at any time you want. Like I said, I will link this down in the description for you guys to see exactly everything that has been changed. Now, in general, for the aspects, okay. Aspects of Disobedience, maximum stacks reduced from 100 to 60, reducing maximum bonus armor percent from 25 to 50 to 15 to 30. Aspect of Retribution, damage bonuses to stunned reduced from 24 to 22 to 40 to 10 to 20. Exploiter's aspect bonus damage to Unstoppable reduced from 20 to 50% to 20 to 40%. And Starlight aspect resource restores increased from 10 to 20 to 20 to 40. Alright. Items. The Butcher's Cleaver, slow increase from 40 to 75% to 61 to 75%. Drop rate adjustments. Increased bonus to drop ancestral and sacred items in Nightmare Dungeons from 5% to 10%. Removed a 20% chance to drop an extra equipment from the elite monsters outside of Nightmare Dungeons and Hell Tides. Increased chance to drop an extra equipment from the elite monsters in Nightmare Dungeons and Hell Tides by 10%. Increased Nightmare Dungeons now have 50% chance to drop a second legendary item upon completion. Nightmare Dungeons now give 3 rare items upon completion, up from 1, which is pretty damn cool. Now I'm definitely going to be doing a lot on Nightmare Dungeons, considering it has been buffed pretty damn well. Monsters, increased monster HP scaling from 85 to 100% bonus per extra player in a party. Miscellaneous, adjusted for the scaling from the Greed Shrine to improve its effectiveness throughout the game. World bosses now drop potions more often. There are no longer a limit on how many materials you can refine into higher materials at once. Item affixes, developer note. Many affixes are too efficient and are outshining alternatives. We are looking to refine the outliers, improve the number of meaningful choices on competitive slots, and increase the overall flexibility of items. We know these changes will reduce the total amount of possible power a character can possess. We'll be monitoring how these changes affect players' ability to conquer expected milestones throughout the season. Alright. We are increasing the availability of the affixes below to make them easier to include in different builds. Control impairment duration reduction can now appear on pants. Barrier generation can now appear for all classes. It will also begin dropping later in the game. Lucky hit chance while you have a barrier. You can now appear for all classes, reduced by 12% when on a helm and 20% when on an amulet or offhand. Mastery skill damage, newly added, can now appear on sorcerer weapons, scales identically to core skill damage. Resistance to all elements can now appear on shields. Developer note, the core stats bonus on weapons has been outperforming, so we are pulling back on this bonus. Alright, strength, 50% stronger when on weapons to 25% stronger on weapons. Dexterity, 50% stronger when on weapons, 25% stronger on weapons now. Intelligence, 50% stronger when on weapons to 25% stronger, and willpower is the same thing. Alright, developer note. Cooldown reduction effects often felt mandatory due to their raw power. We imagine cooldown reduction will remain a highly desirable stat, but the penalty for not prioritizing it won't be as harsh. Cooldown reduction reduced by 30, imbuement skill cooldown reduced by 30%, and trap skill cooldown reduction by 30%. We are seeing critical strike damage and vulnerable damage often viewed as a hard requirement for a build success in Diablo 4. We believe this is a step towards allowing more builds to flourish, and we will continue to make the changes to support of this goal. I have definitely seen that. Okay. Critical strike damage reduced by 17%. Lightning critical strike damage reduced by 17%. Critical strike damage with Bone Earth imbued and Werewolf skills reduced by 17%. Vulnerable damage reduced by 40%. That's huge. Developer note. Disparities: inherent effects can rule some weapons out before the rest of their stats are often even rolled. These are receiving harsher reductions than their normal affects counterparts to increase weapon flexibility. Okay. Cooldown reduction: inherent on offhands reduced by 35%, critical strike damage inherent on swords reduced by 50%, and vulnerable damage by 65% on crossbows. Damage bonus to crowd-controlled enemies was outperforming relative to the ease of activities versus stricter crowd-controlled types specific affixes. Damage to crowd-controlled enemies decreased by 30%. Damage to frozen enemies increased by 20%. Okay. Developer notes: we have seen that skillful players are frequently slaughtering monsters many levels above their own. We want to support this, but the current situation is beyond what we believe to be correct for the long-term health of the game. To chase this goal, we are shifting power to many offensive affixes from defensive affixes. We know this will make our endgame content more deadly, particularly for those chasing our pinnacle bosses. An encounter not meant for the faint of heart. Overcoming the pinnacle boss will take every ounce of grit you can muster on all the tools at your disposal. We will continue to evaluate feedback from the community and make changes to our combat mechanics. Now, basically, they're talking about Lilith, the I can't remember, but basically the hardest boss in the game, the Lilith. Yeah, people have been melting her in like a second, so they're probably not gonna like that, especially for it being the hardest boss in the game. Now, there is so much here that I'll just kind of slowly scroll through it because I don't want to just read every single thing here. So, physical damage increased by 25%, fire damage increased by 25%, cold damage increased by 25%. There is so many changes right here. So, a lot of you guys are going to be happy with it or maybe angry with it. I'm not really too sure on how you're going to see this. Alright, and those were all the changes that came across here, the poison damage and the shadow damage and everything like that. So hopefully you guys, can pause whenever you want and just read along. Alright, and again, we just have some... Alright, and that is pretty much it for this patch notes. It is a huge patch note, and I will leave down in the description for you guys to read at your own time whenever that you like. And I hope you guys can pause the video whenever you like to kind of get an idea and slowly read at your own time as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you will enjoy this brand new season. I cannot wait to play it in 2 days time on Thursday. It's actually Tuesday right now, so I'm really excited. I'm back to uploading videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.